your mother-loving Starboy. So in today's video, we're going to be starting a new side quest and going over some of the video game store closures in the area. From a local mom and pop shop that had 2 different locations to a big box retailer that has closed down 2 locations in the past couple of years. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, my boys. So we are going to be starting with the local mom and pop shop, Matt's Game Exchange. So interestingly enough, this location is the final resting place of Matt's Game Exchange. It had 2 other locations, one being in this shopping center and one being across town. Interestingly enough, I was able to talk to the property manager, and I found out and I learned through her that his father was actually the one that started Matt's Game Exchange, and then his son took over. And it was always really interesting to me because the father, well, I didn't really have any dealings with the father, but the son was a really solid dude. And he always did right by his customers. If he had anything that needed to be fixed, I mean, you gave him a call, he would tell you whether or not he'd be able to do it. And he would take trades sometimes that other stores wouldn't, i.e. GameStop, which we'll be getting into a little bit later as far as their closures. But they were always really solid people. The customer service was top tier. You rarely heard any complaints about how they ran or how they operated. So I'm going to turn to right over here. So right down there at the end of the storefront here was the first location of the store. So right down at the end of the storefront here was officially the second location when the first move happened for Matt's Game Exchange. And then maybe about 7 to 10 months later, they moved down here. And this ended up being the final resting place of Matt's Game Exchange. And you see they've already started taking down the signs. And from talking to the property manager, I've learned that the new tents will be moving in within the next couple of months here. So we will come back and revisit this location to see what ended up replacing this spot here. But this was definitely an upgrade from their original location on the other side of town. And in the next part of this video, we will be visiting that spot as well. But I've always thought it was interesting that they made the move from down there to right here. I don't know what the benefit of that would be because they seem to be about the same square footage, but it was always real interesting to me that they made that move. But like I said, these were really solid people, and it's just a shame to see history of one of the local mom and pop shops and in this manner, because they were good people, and they were one of the better ones as far as just being on a local level, just being able to come in, hang out, and from what I remember, on a monthly basis, well, not monthly basis, maybe every couple of months, they would have a local get together where you could come buy retro games, swap stuff out, exchange. Now, they didn't really get into the Pokemon cards and stuff as much as far as like trading at the store as much from what I could remember, but they did have other spots of like local trading and gaming events and stuff like that too. Because I remember you would line up, you would get a ticket number, and they kind of did it in that sort of fashion there. But like I remember I came out to a couple of times at their old location to those events, and they're always a good hangout spot for just being able to meet new people in the space and being able to get some used games. So we will meet y'all in the next part of this video at the old location. And real quick, before we leave out of this location, I just wanted to get a little, attempt to get a little video of the inside of the store here. Now, if for anybody that follows the gaming scene, you know about Quick Flips that just opened their store about a year, within the past year and a half. And on the inside here is the remnants of their store. They kind of had that Quick Flips theme here of the green and black. You see the particle board there for where they hung up some of their games and showcases there. So yeah, before we get out of here, I just wanted to get a little bit of the inside before we got out. It's kind of hard to see because there's definitely a glare on the glass here, and it's locked up, so they're not gonna let me in. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to get a little quick take of the inside before we left out. But like I said, I will meet y'all at the next location, and we'll go over the beginning parts of Matt's Game Exchange. We'll see you then. So here is an update to that first move they made at the end of the block for Matt's Game Exchange. Looks like it's going to be an eatery. So when the final resting place at the end of the block here, we will do an update video of what's coming into that location as well. You saw where they were taking down the signs. So we'll do an update to that. But like I said, I just wanted to get a little take here on what was coming in. And this was the one at the very beginning of the storefront here. So like I said, it looks like it's going to be an eatery called Bora Bora Smoothie Cafe. So I don't know, that's pretty interesting. And when the other storefront comes in, we'll come in and do an update on the second location.